Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Morbidly Beautiful YouTube channel. My name is Vicky, also known as Nightmare Maven here on the internet. And this is my first video on Morbidly Beautiful's YouTube channel. I'm super excited. Since this is my first time on this channel, I thought I'd introduce myself really quick before we get into anything else. First and foremost, I am a horror fan. I'm also a horror tuber. I have a channel on here which is completely my own. It is Nightmare Maven. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to check it out. I review movies, books, TV, all sorts of other fun horror stuff, so you can check that out if you want. I'm also a contributing writer on morbidlybeautiful.com, which I'm sure you guys know all about, which is a wonderful, wonderful horror movie news, review, all sorts of other fun horror stuff website. But I don't need to tell you guys about Morbidly Beautiful. You know how awesome it is. Morbidly Beautiful is kind enough to let me have a segment on their channel for Women in Horror Month, and hopefully I would love to take this segment continuing on through the rest of the year, not just Women in Horror Month for February. So let's kick this off with 9 horror films I think you should watch for Women in Horror Month 9. If you didn't know, 2018 marks the 9th year we are celebrating Women in Horror Month. Hence why I chose 9 films to tell you about. They're not ranked or anything like that. These are just 9 films that are, some of them are directed by women, but all of them have really strong themes that I think are relatable a lot to women in general, not just women horror fans. So I highly, highly suggest them. If you haven't heard of them or haven't seen them, please check them out. They would be a great way to celebrate Women in Horror Month. All right, first up is The Love Witch. The Love Witch is directed by Anna Biller and follows a modern day witch, Elaine, who uses spells and magic to get men to fall in love with her, even if it doesn't really go the way she plans. What I really, really love about this movie is that it takes the idea of kind of dating around and falling in love multiple times, which is not something you see a lot with a protagonist in movies in general, let alone horror movies. Normally, any woman who dates around or sleeps around is considered a slut or a whore or something of that nature. But this is one time where we get to see that as a protagonist, and it's super realistic in that Elaine seemingly falls in love multiple times over the course of the movie, which kind of defies that expectation that movies and media has set up for us ladies that, you know, we'll find our one true love or Prince Charming, and there's only one person in the world meant for us, which could or could not be true, and The Love Witch explores that idea. Next up is You're Next. Directed by Adam Wingard, You're Next follows the Davison family as they come under attack during a wedding anniversary getaway. The gang of mysterious killers soon learns that one of the victims, played by Sharni Vinson, harbors a secret talent for fighting back. So what You're Next does really well is it gives us a female protagonist that already knows how to defend herself and how to kick complete and total ass. So this is just, it's just really great given that we have like a final girl of sorts who is definitely not the kind, sweet, timid, virginal final girl that we have come to know. Sharni Vinson's character, Erin, reveals that she grew up in a survivalist camp and she knows how to take care of herself, and she takes charge and is able to give direction and survive till the end of the movie. And it's really great to see a female character that already knows how to take care of herself, and she doesn't have to make that journey to be able to fight back, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is something we've seen a lot of times in horror movies with previous final girls. Next up is Teeth, directed by Mitchell Lichtenstein. Teeth follows Dawn, who is a high school student who discovers she has a physical advantage when she becomes the object of male violence. And honestly, that's all I'm gonna say about Teeth. You just need to go watch it. If you have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, then I recommend definitely not looking up any spoilers for this movie. If you know nothing about it, just go watch it. That's all I can say, and that's all I'm going to say. Next up is Ginger Snaps, directed by John Fawcett. So Ginger Snaps follows two death-obsessed sisters who are outcast in their own neighborhood. They must deal with the tragic consequences when one of them is bitten by a werewolf. What I like about Ginger Snaps is it relates the transformation aspect of becoming a werewolf to getting your first period, actually, which is kind of great. And the girls don't really know, obviously, right off the bat what is happening to Ginger until she starts to transform. And becoming a werewolf kind of becomes a metaphor for becoming a woman, which is basically what happens when we get our first period. So Ginger becomes increasingly violent and very sexually driven. So it's very much about her discovering her own sexuality and her own womanhood, while also dealing with the fact that she turns into a werewolf from time to time. Next up is another movie starring Katharine Isabelle, and this one is American Mary. Written and directed by Jen and Sylvia Soska, American Mary follows a medical student, Mary Mason, who, desperate for money to pay for her medical education, finds herself in the world of underground surgeries and body modification, which ends up leaving more marks on her than her so-called freakish clients. Mary is one of those characters, again, who is very capable. We were first introduced to her in the classroom setting, and we understand that she is very good at what she does. She really loves what she is going to school for, and she's very good at it. The only thing that's holding her back is money. She does struggle with money, and she struggles to pay for school. And this kind of leads her to helping out a very unconventional client who wants to be made into a human Barbie. Obviously paid for her work and sent a very beautiful dress. Very soon after, Mary is invited to a party by one of her professors who assumes very assholishly that Mary must be prostituting herself, and that's how all of a sudden she's gotten all this nice money and gotten all these nice clothes. So he drugs and rapes Mary, and this is what sets her off in the world of underground body modification. Very disheartened, she pretty much just quits medical school and decides to go full time doing all these crazy modifications for clients who are willing to pay for it. So besides the obvious commentaries on sexual violence that is in this movie does also have a lot to deal with what is considered beautiful by society and accepting what you think is beautiful and embracing that. So obviously all these body modifications that Mary is doing are kind of crazy and very out there, but it's what the client wants, and that's what makes the clients feel awesome and feel confident and feel beautiful. And I think that's the real important part of the movie. It's embracing what you find beautiful and finding confidence in that instead of what society tells you is beautiful. Next on my list is The Final Girls, directed by Todd Strauss-Schulson. The Final Girls follows a young woman who's grieving the loss of her mother, a famous scream queen from the 1980s. Suddenly, she finds herself pulled into the world of her mom's most famous slasher movie, and she is reunited with a movie version of her mother. The only way to escape the movie universe is to defeat the film's maniacal killer. What I really love about The Final Girls is that it's not only a very awesome kind of meta slasher, it has its very unique take on the slasher paradigm, and it's definitely something that we've never seen before. It acknowledges it's a horror movie by pulling the characters into movie universe. But more than that, it deals very awesomely with a kind of complicated mother and daughter relationship. Max's mother fears she has been typecast because of her roles in the movie within the movie, Camp Bloodbath, and she's struggling to pay the bills. And Max kind of takes on the adult role here by reminding her mother of the bills that they have to pay and things like that, which leads to a lot of guilt when the pair get into a car accident, which causes Max's mother to pass away. But I really like the way this movie deals with that mother-daughter relationship in a unique way, because Max is reunited with her mother, but not in the way that you would think. She's reunited with the movie version of her mother, but in the end ends up reconciling her differences with her mom and is able to move on. Next on my list is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, directed by Anna Lily Amirpour. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night takes place in an Iranian ghost town called Bad City. The place reeks of death and loneliness and is stalked by a vampire played by Sheila Vand. One night, our lonesome vampire runs into our main character, Arash. She's finally able to know the possibilities that love offers. What's awesome about this movie is that it puts a female in a place of power where they normally aren't, actually. Considering this takes place in an Iranian ghost town, this is somewhere where women are under the rule of a very strict patriarchal society. And so it's nice to see a woman in power here, especially in power as a supernatural being. So in a lot of vampire love stories we get, it's always the man who is the mysterious, dark, and brooding vampire, you know, very Twilight-esque type movies. So it's nice to see a woman in this power position, and she definitely has a leg up on the man Arash. That kind of leads me to the next film I want to talk about, which is Audition. Directed by Takashi Miike, Audition follows a widower who takes his stupid friend's advice to screen girls in an audition setting for him to find a new wife. The widower, Aoyama, takes a liking to Asami, but he soon finds out that she is not the girl he thinks she is. Audition is definitely one of those slow burn horror films. It takes a long while to build up to a wonderful climax. This kind of falls in line with A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, where this is a society that is definitely more patriarchal. Women are meant to be more subservient. This is made apparent in the fact that Aoyama holds auditions for a new wife, which just seems absolutely ridiculous. And there's a wonderful montage of audition scenes for these women who think they are auditioning for a movie role when they're actually auditioning to be somebody's new bride. And then we have Asami, who Aoyama takes a liking to. Asami is very quiet, very demure, she very much fits that subservient role, and she seems like she'd make a very good, quiet, and cute housewife. And this all leads up to the end of the movie, where Aoyama realizes Asami is kind of crazy. That's all I'm gonna say on the matter, because this is kind of like Teeth, where you just kind of need to watch it. So I'm not going to give away any more than that. All right, and finally on my list is Raw, directed by Julia Ducournau. Raw follows a young vegetarian, Justine, who undergoes a carnivorous hazing ritual at vet school. She soon develops a very particular craving for meat. This is a unique kind of cannibal movie, one that I found myself relating to a lot, being a vegan myself. When the movie starts out, Justine is very set in her vegetarianism. She's very passionate about it. So that makes it all the more difficult when she gets to vet school, and this is something that she really wants to do. And the kind of hazing ritual that I talked about is something that all of the new students need to go through, and they need to eat a rabbit liver, which obviously Justine does not want to do. She realizes that the women in her family harbor a dark secret, and that is they need to eat human flesh. This is very actually compulsory, or the movie makes it seem like it is compulsory, or it's essential to her survival pretty much. Once she's tasted meat, she cannot stop eating it. But they very much relate Justine's desire for human flesh as kind of a sexual experience. I feel like the movie is very much about accepting your sexuality and your desires, and that's what I really love about this movie. So there you have it. That's 9 movies that I recommend you guys watch this month to celebrate Women in Horror Month. Let me know in the comments section your favorite feminist horror movies, your favorite women-directed horror movies. I'd love to hear them, and let me know what you're gonna be watching this month to celebrate Women in Horror Month. And thank you so much for watching, everybody, and until next time, stay strange. Bye.